Welcome back, everybody, to Make It Simple TV. I'm Heather Porter. I am one of the co-hosts and co-founders of Autopilot Your Business, which is the company that is all behind Make It Simple TV. Now, I am joined with my fabulous co-host, Andrew McCauley. Welcome back to the show. Andrew, how are you?
Hey Heather, I am good. Looking forward to today's call as usual. I always love these calls, and today is no different. We have a super special guest, and we can't wait to meet her.
We can't. Now, our guest today is Laura Waage. I love Laura's story because she's like so many amazing people that are in corporate America or corporate Australia or anywhere corporate in the world. You're sitting there and you're wondering, what am I doing? It's not for me. So she made that massive leap from corporate land out on her own. She is a best-selling author. She has been on stages all over the world. Actually, that's how she and Andrew met. They used to speak on the same stage for T. Harv Eker and some of his events. And for quite a while, she was also working for one of the biggest sports marketing companies in America, which is incredibly amazing and impressive. Now, she also does stuff with us. She has written articles ongoing for our digital magazine Online Footprint, and we are now doing a very, very exciting project with her that we'll be talking to you about throughout the show a little bit. So stay tuned for that. You don't want to miss it. Welcome to the show. Laura, how are you?
Thank you so much, Heather, Andrew. I'm so excited to be here today. So very nice to be able to join you guys for this.
It's great to have you. Now, Andrew, I want you to start this conversation with Laura because I know you guys have met before I met Laura. And for me personally, can you tell me when was the first time you both met?
Let me think. I think the first time I met Laura was in Vegas, actually. We were at an event, and Laura, I was speaking at the event, and Laura was supposed to be a participant. And she was there as she paid her money to be a participant, but I think by the end of the event she was teaching half the coaches what to do. So it wasn't long before Laura started teaching all this social media stuff and online marketing with me at all events around the world. We were lucky enough to go all over the world, Singapore and all over the US, teaching people how to start websites, how to build websites, and how to make money going online. So Laura and I were co-coaching directors for a while too, so we used to work pretty closely together. And she's a barrel of laughs, a whole bunch of energy, and she's one of those people that you just want to know because she's very well connected and always a joy to be around. So Laura, give us a story about how you got into doing this stuff, because I know, as Heather said, you were in the corporate world, and I love your story about what really was that trigger that made you jump from corporate to personal or your own business.
Yeah, so, the trigger is so important, and I think that the trigger is something that a lot of people can relate to, but not everybody makes the jump the way that I did. For me, the trigger was actually at the time, my daughter was 13 going on 14 years old. She was about to start high school, and she was finishing up her 8th grade year, and to make a long story short, there was something that was very, very important to her, and I missed it because in my corporate America life, I had to travel a lot. I traveled every single week, and on this particular day, me being the control freak that I am, I had everything worked out to a T. I had a flight, I had a backup flight, I had everything worked out so I could get back for her event. And then, as often happens on the East Coast, in May, weather hit, and I couldn't get home for what was important to her. And when I finally did, she was in tears. I missed something that was so important. It put me into tears. And I went to bed that night just saying, what the hell am I doing? My kid is about to be in high school. I've been a single mom my whole life, and I've missed so many things because I was always working. And it's hard, right? You're a single mom. You have to work. But it was that day. I had no backup plan, no second job. I'd always been smart, so I had a lot of money in savings. But I woke up the next morning, and that was it. Corporate America was gone, and that was the start of the journey.
So what made you join, or what made you do what you're doing now? Like, you could have done, I guess, a whole host of other, industries, skill sets. What was it that drew you to sort of online marketing that was the thing that said, you know what, that's what I want to do?
Well, it was kind of two things. So my whole life I've been in sales and marketing in corporate America. And so the sales and marketing aspect just runs through my veins. I love it. But the other side of me, my whole life, has been a love and affection for technology. This goes all the way back to when I was, 7 years old, 8 years old, and I was taking apart the cable boxes to figure out how to reprogram them so that we could get free HBO. So, things like that. I've just always loved technology as a whole. And as I got older and I realized that I could take my love for technology, tie it into this love and appreciation that I have for marketing, and do it in a way where the two are married in such creative and fun ways. Like, what we do is fun. And some of the conversations, when I think about the conversations I've enjoyed most, and even my daughter has commented on this. My daughter used to wander into my office. She's now she's now 19, actually. And so she has also known Andrew for quite some time. And she would wander into my office and she would hear Andrew and I on the phone laughing and just being like so excited over something. And she'd say, "What's going on?" And I'd say, "Oh, we figured out a way to pop something up on a screen that somebody else goes to." And she'd be like, "How is that fun?" But for us, it is fun. And the things you can do with marketing and technology are such a blast. I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Laura, how would you describe what you're doing right now? Can you give yourself an actual role? Are you entrepreneur? Are you consultant? What would you call yourself?
Oh, that's so hard. I don't even know what I would call myself. Yes, obviously, I do a fair amount of consulting for large businesses, and I kind of go in and out of that. I sometimes I'll take on big contracts and do a project. And then sometimes, like right now, I want to devote that time to things that we are all collectively working on together. I think one thing that I've been really, really fortunate in is that because I have such an extensive sales and marketing background, it's really easy for me to find and get clients that need digital marketing strategy help. And it's really easy for me to go into their business and help them put together a solution that'll work. But it's still, because I have so much time and so much experience and expertise in it, it allows me to be able to spend time in different areas so I can still prioritize what I enjoy most. And that's what's different now versus, where I used to be. You didn't always get to prioritize what you enjoy most because you're chasing a paycheck and you're a single mom and you're doing whatever you're doing, and we all have those stories. But when you get to a certain point in your career and in life where you can choose, what do I like most and where do I want to spend the majority of my time, it's just fun. It's just amazing and it's fun. And then you get to work with really awesome people. One thing that's kind of interesting about Andrew and I, we had a really, I'm going to be as politically correct as possible here. We had a really dynamic mix of people that we worked with. Some were really awesome, and some I would describe with a different A word. But the cool thing is that at the end of it, you get to decide who do you want to work with, because we don't work in a company where we're forced to work with people that suck. We get to say, you know what, we really bonded and we really get along and we really have the same vision and we really believe in the same things for how we want to help other people succeed. So let's get together and work on a project together. And that's part of what makes things so awesome when you do what we do.
Hey, when you've worked with a lot of companies as a consultant, helping them with their online stuff, and you've also worked with thousands of individuals teaching people. We were having 400 or 500 people at events when we were teaching this sort of stuff. What's the biggest thing that is the stumbling block for most people, in as far as online goes, when they're trying to get their business up and running and looking at the online world, whether it's social media, whether it's websites, whether it's traffic? What do you think what's the biggest thing that's really holding people back or confusing them, do you think?
It is interesting because I've worked with individuals, I've worked with large companies, and actually the problem is the same for both. It doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or corporate America with, corporate America gig with 500 employees, it's the same problem. And it's that they try to take on too much for themselves. And, you know, I'll tell you a story about one of my clients that they hired a kid who had just graduated from college, who had social media experience according to his degree, and he comes in, and so now they start putting all these different things on his plate. Do video marketing, do email marketing, start doing the Google AdWords, do this, that, and the other thing. And it is the same problem that we see with solopreneurs, the same problem we see with small businesses. You cannot be all things to all people, and there are so many things in the online world that you have to have a grasp of to be successful. And really the key to it is not that you personally hold the reins, but that you find the best people that you possibly can so that they can hold the reins, they can be the worker bees, and you can just guide it and corral it. But it is so interesting to me that it doesn't matter if you're talking about a solopreneur or you're talking about a huge company, they all make that same mistake. And it's one that's so hard to fix.
Yeah, so they're doing so much, they're trying to cram so much in, they're trying to wear so many different hats, they sort of go into this, you know, state of overwhelm where they're just like, wow, what do I need to do? It's too hard, I'm gonna shut the doors. If we were gonna say, what would be 3 things that you would say for people to help them overcome the overwhelm, do you think?
Well, the first thing is that I would definitely say is don't go it alone. You have to learn to delegate. You just do. Now, I have to tell you, as Andrew, as you know, I am totally type A. I am a complete control freak. And if I can get over that hump and delegate and learn to trust other people and learn to trust myself, part of the way I got over that hump was creating videos so that I'm training people to do it exactly the way that I want it done. So definitely delegation is number 1. Number 2 would probably be learning to repurpose properly. So what I mean by that is so many people do so much more work than is necessary. If you write a really good blog post, then you create an image to go with the blog post, and then you turn that blog post into 4 or 5 different tweets, 2 or 3 different Facebook updates, a couple of different Google Plus updates. You have it transcribed and an audio put with it, and you put it up as a video. You can take one piece of content and easily spin that into 15 or 20 touches to get yourself widespread visibility so that now you are in more places, you're hitting more modalities, but you're doing it through repurposing, which will help you tremendously. And then I think the third one for me is a no-brainer. You got to mastermind. You got to connect with other people that are both your peers. You know, great example of that is us 3 and the calls that we have on a regular basis to advance the projects we're working on. And then mastermind in true mastermind groups where you've got tremendous brain power coming together. You're all working together for, you know, on your own personal initiatives, but with the brain power of, you know, sometimes as many as 10 or 12 in a group. And it is amazing the things that can come out of that environment when you participate.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think masterminding is one of those things that if you're not doing it for your business, then you really should start thinking about it. And I love the repurposing thing. You know, we're big proponents of repurposing. And this day and age when you know, you need so much more than a blog post. We're going past the stage where, are you online? Yeah, I've got a website. Well, whoopee-doo, that doesn't cut it anymore. You've got to have your own media empire, basically, right? So you want to start making sure that if you're going to do the work, create a great blog post, how else can you make that piece of media go further? You know, how can you make it extend to video platforms? How can you make it go to audio platforms? How can you put it on sites like iTunes and Amazon so that people are seeing your content that you've created? You spent some time creating it. Don't just rely on one small platform. You've got to go out there and really start building and establishing your media empire. So, you know, Heather and I talk about media empire, and we'll be talking a lot more about media empire as we move into our rebranding of Autopilot Your Business as well. But I think that's really important that you said that, because repurposing is that start of building that empire. H, what do you think?
Yeah, I love that you said that. And I also wanted to bring up another point. Laura, you were talking about the power of delegation, and you talked about how businesses, like, they're hiring people out of university that for like a social media role, for example. And there's a big mistake that I found that a lot of people are making because online marketing is still relatively new to many of us. And for some reason, whatever it is, people look at that as one role. Where, like you were saying before, there is a social media aspect, there's a content creation aspect, there's a video aspect, there's distribution, there's email, there's marketing, there's copywriting. And the mistake that I'm seeing being made consistently time and again is people are saying, I just want an online person to do everything. And if you're going about that, it's like when you're getting a website designed, a developer and a designer are two very unique roles, as is the online world. So it's an interesting space that all of us work in, because I think we have a bit of a uphill climb to both educate people on the fact that there are different skill sets to look for, and how do you get those skills without the overwhelm as well. So thanks for sharing that interesting story about that unique grad. Now, Laura, what's one resource or tool that you absolutely are loving right now?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have to preface this a little bit, and Andrew, you have to bite your tongue on this one. So I resisted the Mac world for as long as I possibly could. Resisted it like, yeah, I had a huge brick wall. It was not happening. And part of it was because I didn't want to deal with the learning curve. I feel like I move way too fast to stop and learn something like that, like move everything over. So I recently got a Mac, which I am loving, but that's not actually the tool and resource that I'm talking about. There is an app on the Mac called Curio, and Curio is actually part of the reason that I wanted a Mac, because they do not make Curio or anything that has all the same feature set for a PC. And what Curio allows me to do is bring in my mind maps, bring in notes, whether it's a Word doc. It allows me to fully and completely integrate with Evernote. It allows me to drop and attach files from my Dropbox. It basically has become the hub for my business. So as an example, we have a course that we're creating together, and the entire course has been created using Curio, being able to pull in the notes, being able to slide things around. Like this app, my poor husband, I was like, no, hold on, I'm talking to Curio. And he goes, is that a person? Because I was getting so into this app that I was like having conversations with it. I was like, I love you, because it has simplified how I work so extensively. It's the best thing ever.
I love that you bought a Mac. That's all I'm going to say. I've been saying it for 5 years now. You finally bought it. Hooray!
Same, and I actually like that she used the word husband, because she's recently married, so that's kind of cool to hear you say that.
It's kind of weird to hear me say it.
We recorded it.
Oh man, so Laura, now all of us that are in business, we have really dark times. It's a woo roller coaster ride up and down. And what is one mantra or quote, something that you live by to keep you through those hard times?
Yeah, I have the same life quote that I've actually lived by for probably over a decade. I've always had it printed on my business cards, and it's a quote by Maya Angelou that says, when you learn, teach, when you get, give. And what I've found is that when there are hard times, if I'm always focused on teaching but still learning and keeping a balance to that, it keeps new information coming in, but it keeps me connected to people. And then just always giving back, when I get, give. And I found that tends to be the guiding principle that just helps keep me north. It helps keep me centered so that I don't get too far off the beaten path.
Cool. Love it. What would you like to be known for?
When I think about being known for, to me that means something that I'm proud of, something that I want to take with me. And I think that the thing I am known for, I want to continue to be known for, and the thing that makes me the most proud is being a single mom was not easy. It was the toughest thing I have ever done in my life. And I hear so many other parents tell me how my daughter is just the coolest kid, how she's always so respectful, so well behaved. She's always, the first one to take care of her friends. So maybe a lot of people want to be known for business things, but I think first and foremost, I want to be known for still staying focused on being a great mom, even though I had to have a career and balance both. That balancing act was a tough thing to do, but it's the thing that I succeeded at. I kept it front and center. And so being known as Taylor's mom, up until the point she gets arrested. If she gets arrested, I'm changing my line.
I love it. I love it. So, what's one major life lesson? I guess you've probably shared that already, and it may be the one you want to share again. But what's one major life lesson that you've learned that you'd like to share?
Actually, I think the major life lesson would be just don't take things for granted. As Andrew knows, a few years ago, I actually almost died, and I was hospitalized for almost 4 months. I went into liver failure. I had a lot of different things going on. I had 3 surgeries during that time. And so what I took from that, what I learned from that, was that you just don't know when the equation is going to change. And by the doctor's accounts, they actually called my mom and told my mom I probably would not make it till morning, and my mom got on a flight and flew across the country. So you don't know when that last day is going to be. Ironically, my daughter and I were on vacation. We were at Disney World. We were at the happiest place on earth, and I wound up in the Disney hospital. And we went from kicking it with Mickey in the morning to all of a sudden I'm hospitalized in the evening. So just don't take it for granted. You never know what could happen.
Was the queue long to get into Disney Hospital?
Okay, so true story. The hospital, it is a Disney hospital. It's in Celebration, Florida, and each one of the rooms are decorated with Disney motif, with life-size Disney, stickable characters on the walls. So, I guess as far as having to be hospitalized for me, it was like, okay, if I've got to be hospitalized, at least I'm here.
Hey, just talking about Disney, before we wrap up, I know that you've studied Walt Disney and the whole teachings and the philosophy around Disney World and Disneyland and that sort of stuff. What's one thing that stands out about Disney that you try to, or you'd like to, or you do apply to your business?
Oh my God, so it's so hard to say one thing because there are so many brilliant Disney lessons, but I'll tell you one of my favorites. Whenever you go on a Disney ride, so think about going on Space Mountain. You go on Space Mountain, you get off the ride, and you are immediately in a store. When you get off the ride, it drops you into a store. And in that store are mementos and items and different things that can be purchased based on the ride that you were just on. Now, what Disney does that's really, really smart is they don't think about what the parents are doing or what the parents want. They think about the fact that the true buyer in that situation is the kid. It's the kid who gets off the ride totally excited. The ride drops him off in the middle of the store. Mom, Dad, can I have a Space Mickey? And what are Mom and Dad going to say? Most of the time, they're going to say yes. So Disney, they always begin with the end in mind. They lead the customer to where a purchase can be made. They make sure that that purchase matches what the experience was that the customer just went through. And then they've set everything up to be able to position it to the person with the buying power. If you get off Space Mountain, okay, everybody who watches this, you're going to look at it completely different the next time you go on a ride like that. If you get off Space Mountain and you look around, you'll realize all of the coolest toys, any of the 3 of us would have to bend over to buy. Why is that? Because they put them at eye level for the kids because the kids have the buying power. There are so many brilliant lessons that Disney brings that if you just kind of take a step back, watch what's going on, parallel it to your business, there's brilliant things that you can draw into it.
Love it. Yeah, no, I think it's certainly a very good study to see what Disney's done. They've done a fantastic job, and everything, as you said, carrying you from the moment you get to either Disneyland or Disney World until the moment you leave. They've thought about everything, and I find it fascinating how, to the nth degree, that they've gone into that. So awesome, awesome, awesome. Before we go, I've got a quick question for you. You may not have even prepared for this sort of question, but if someone was to ask you, hey, can you take a look at my website, what would be one of the first things or first two things that you would look for to see whether it's a website that is going to either make the money or convert customers into, or convert prospects into customers?
Well, the very, very, very first thing that I look for is whether or not they are capturing email addresses and whether or not they're doing it in a way that's really going to entice people to drop their email into that box. Because the truth is, if you want to have an online business, the list is the money. That's where the money is at. The money is in the list. So if you do not have a really, really dynamic offer that makes people really want to give you their email, it's going to be really hard to build a business any other way. You know, a website that doesn't have that on it, in my opinion, is nothing more than a brochure. So that's absolutely where I start with.
Love it.
Very cool. Now, Laura, earlier in the conversation, I said that the three of us are working on something that I would talk about a little bit later in the show. And now that we're wrapping up, I just wanted to let everybody know that the three of us have paired up. Not only the three of us, we brought in a couple of other experts, and it is our mission to kick overwhelm in the ass when it comes to doing your social media and online marketing. So, guys, is it too soon to actually say what the name of this thing is?
I don't think it is, but I think the name, since it was Andrew's brilliance, could be by him.
You want me to tell you the name that I couldn't remember the other day, a day after I said it? I'm going to call some people, and I'm like, oh, I've got this awesome name. It's what is the damn name? I forgot what it is. Anyway, I do remember. It's our new course that we're about to launch next week. July 1st is the planned date. Overcome Online. What is it called again, Laura?
Overcome Online Overwhelm. O3.
I had it. I was just tricking. Overcome Online Overwhelm, and you can find out the details about this. We're about to put up a landing page at onlinemasterplanseries.com. You can find all the details out from there. So that's what our course is called. It's going to be an awesome course. If you are one of those people that finds it hard to delegate, then this is going to be right up your alley, and it's going to be super affordable as well.
Well, and not only that, you know, I think there's people that would delegate if they felt like they could get to that point. You know, when I talk to people and I hear why they don't delegate, take corporate America out of this for a minute, but when I talk to the average solopreneur or small business owner, why don't they delegate? Usually I get the same responses. Nobody will do it as well as they will, so they do it themselves. They don't have the time to stop and train anybody, or they're not generating enough revenue to pay other people. And one of the things that I am most proud of is that we have eliminated all three of those obstacles with this course. And we're going to be able to help people, which is, you know, I said that earlier, the most important thing to the three of us was coming together to help people. We're going to be able to help people not only simplify their lives and simplify their businesses, but grow by leaps and bounds. You know, people forget about the fact that, let's take graphic design, because that's the one that frustrates me the most. When I watch people spend 2 hours trying to put together some stupid little graphic for a blog post that they could have gotten on Fiverr for $5, yet they waste 2 hours of their time, and if that same person wants to make, you know, $100 grand a year, then their hourly rate is about $50 an hour. They could have paid $5.
Yep.
So I'm really excited for the fact that we're going to be able to help people. They're going to grow. Their life is going to be simpler. It's just going to be awesome.
Love it. Andrew, any last words before we say goodbye?
No, thank you, Laura. Thanks for taking the time to join us on Make It Simple TV. We love all our guests, and we love the stories that we share. And as you know, we pretty much know every person personally on our show, and that's part of why we love doing this show, is because they're all old friends that have come on board, and we're able to have a good chat about what we're doing, what they're doing, and it's awesome to have you on the show. So thank you, Laura, for coming on.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
It's been great. And guys, as always, the conversations can continue over at makeitsimple.tv. Now pop on over to episode number 12. That's where Laura is in her replay. We're going to have information about Laura, links to her, but also, and more importantly, links to online master plan series, which is our new project we're working on together. So pop on by makeitsimple.tv. Let us know what you think. And thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be with you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.